Good. Good as I'm gonna be, at least.
Stochastic, here we go. It's your old pal EMac coming to you on a Sunday morning. We're going a little early today because for some reason these days there are teams that actually look at the weather reports, Josh, and they make sound decisions. These are not the Washington Nationals that do this, but we've had a couple different teams this year significantly move games forward to avoid rain. I kind of like this.
It's smart. It's smart. The Nats would just be like, oh, it's sunny today? Canceled. Not going to be able to get this one in. It's going to rain next Thursday.
Three different postponements for rain that it never actually rained at the park in the last 4 years. That's just, it's unbelievable.
It was infuriating every time too.
All righty. Well, I am having fun here in Florida. Be my last day here, driving back up to Virginia tomorrow. It's a long 950 miles. It's a long drive. It's a long drive, Josh. Not good times. We cannonball run. Me and my wife. We're good. We switch off every 3 hours. She did a trip quest or whatever to get rest stops every 3 hours or the gas stations. And then
did you know they've made planes?
We have a dog, and in moving things down here, you can't carry that much on the plane. So we need a couple car trips.
That's fair. Yes. That is fair.
All right. Well, let's jump on in here. We do have a couple weather spots to look at. And for those of you that are playing season long, by the way, you got 2 minutes before that Peacock game locks today. So that one is Detroit and Arizona. Hopefully you guys remember to start Zach Gallen on that one. The rest of the weather, we don't have to worry too much about Coors Field, but it does look like there's going to be rain there. It is not on any of the main slates. We are going early because Cleveland moved their game early. They should be okay to get this one in. That's the first one we'll talk about. It's Houston at Cleveland. And then the Midwest still getting a little dinged up. St. Louis. Looks like it will be afternoon rain, but it does clear around 4 o'clock local time. So, and then it's clear the rest of the night. So hopefully they just choose to do a late start. But let's jump on in here, Josh. We are brought to you by Sorare today, and we'll talk about them shortly. But in the meantime, let's take a look over here. The Houston Astros going into Cleveland, taking on the Guardians. Brandon Bielak going for Houston, and not a lot of strikeouts for him. On the other side, you got Shane Bieber. Used to be really, really good. Not a lot of strikeouts for him this season. But the big news is no Yordan Alvarez. He's going to miss a few weeks here. So that dramatically shifts the Astros lineup. You've got Jose Ramirez on the other side. He hit 3 home runs. He's trying to carry the offense by himself yet again. What do you got for this one? This just feels like, oh, some of these guys came into my lineup. I'm okay with it. That's how this game feels to me.
This one's a weird one. I looked at it a little bit earlier. No Ramirez actually in the Guardians lineup for today, so a little bit better for Bielak. As I look at it, I don't really see Bielak as anybody that you're really trying to get to. Not a great strikeout matchup on the opposite side, even without Ramirez in the lineup. Ooh, my script just got done, so I could actually make a comment of what my exposures look like. Let me just click refresh here, and then I'll have everything in front of me. Oh, perfect timing. Absolutely perfect timing. Not much in this game in general. Bielak, no. Bieber is a problem for me, and is a problem for me every single time he makes a start, because I use steamer projections. Any real projection system is going to look at Shane Bieber differently today than anybody really expects him to be. Well, I don't believe, like, I'm not a believer in current day Shane Bieber, but so much of his past is still baked into those projection systems that he does still project okay. Luckily, 9K. I only have 7%. I have had many multiples of the field over the past few weeks. In this case, I've got 7. Field, it's at 3. There's no real ownership coming into the Astros bats. On the opposite side, 14th in our top stack tool, 12th in our stack score. If you want to get to pieces of this, like Kyle Tucker, for example, certainly stands out on the Houston side. Big power bat, lefty righty option. I get it. Cleveland is the most popular piece of this entire game as a set of bats. It's value based, I guess. The most expensive person in the lineup is Stephen Kwan, 3,800 in the leadoff spot. I have a little bit of Cleveland. I don't think they're all that interesting of a stack. The implied total's not great. Bielak's not anybody that I'm really interested in, but without Jose Ramirez in this lineup, I just don't see it. I understand the price tags work. Is there anything else that's interesting about Cleveland to you?
No, nothing really stands out. And I've been dabbling in DK cash games. They're single entry double ups, just
Sure.
I don't know, to try something new. I lucked out. Was it Friday was the day that there was the 3 home runs from Ramirez?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have never really had him. Fortunately, a large portion of the field did not. So that kind of carried me to victory there. It's interesting looking at those. We got a super chat here from Brandon Wagner we'll get to in just a second, but the ownership is different there. And a lot of people you can tell that they're running 2 or 3 different optimal lineups, looking like they lock in their pitchers. I thought I was going to try to get anybody from this game here. And with Ramirez out, I'm not even in a rush to play anybody at all from this game. I just don't see a ton of advantages. And I had kind of looked at this game with the lens of, all right, a lot of moving parts. There's no way we're going to have all the lineups. I'm probably just going to skip this game, rather build out the whole portfolio, because I don't do a very good job when I'm just replacing 1 or 2 people that are scattered throughout my lineups. I'd rather not do a global replace, but I don't want to rerun my crunches either. So I've just sort of had this one marked off. And Ramirez was the one guy I was worried about not having. With him not being there, this just isn't that big of a deal for me.
No, I have 9 Indians 5-mans.
Okay.
Let's go with Guardians. Whoopsie daisy. Whoopsie daisy. Man, I feel like Laffy out here just using all of these dead terms.
Yes.
You guys, nothing I can do on that one. It's too in my body. It's too many years. But yes, I have 9 individual 5-man stacks. And I think that's just mostly a value play. It's to get to, Gausman plus McClanahan and a couple other like one-off bats. That's the path for Cleveland if you're trying to aggressively pay up for the 2 11K pitchers.
All right. So let's hit on Brandon's question here. He says, first time playing the 777 on DK. How concentrated will the ownership be? So this is 434 people can enter it. You can enter up to 13. I'm scrolling down. It looks like most people only enter this once. There are some multi-entry folks. Oh, I see 1-800 Eddie's got a multi-entry in here. But even the most of the multi-entries, bro, they're only going with about 5 or 6. So to me, that means this will be more concentrated ownership than anyone else. DeColts is in there with 8 entries. So it doesn't look like people max this one out per se. It's pretty top heavy. If you win, or if you finish 88th, which is basically finishing barely in the top 20% there, you get 1.5 back. That's not a great payout. You finish top 29 or lower, you double your money. This is just an incredibly top heavy contest for $100,000. So I would think things are going to be rather concentrated here. Do you have an approach for this? Because I think I would probably go ahead and go with Gausman as one of my pitchers, and I might even double down on Peralta as well, and then go a little off the board with the stack.
Yeah, so I think you're doing your pitching is going to be 2 of 4 guys. Gausman, McClanahan, Peralta, Hunter Green. You're using some combination of those 4 guys, almost assuredly. Maybe you're going all the way down to $5,300 Wainwright, and your lineup is just loaded with bats. I don't see that. When it comes to stacks, like to me, the Braves are on a completely different planet for today than every other team. That's going to be the highest concentration of stacks in this contest for sure. Do you want to just pick another one that's at the top? I think that's like a reasonable way to go. You're not going too far down that top stacks table. You're really not trying to go to like the 6th or 7th team at this point, unless the raw number is just condensed very well, where like the difference between 2 and 8 is a 0.5 percentage point. But you want to be at the top of basically everything for a contest of this size. There's no value to getting that different. There's not enough lineup combinations in there to really mess with you. I'm actually thinking about firing away a lineup for this contest right now, just because. And I would not go to the Braves because of their ownership.
And the other thing that's going to hit you on the Braves is if you go those top 2 or top 3 pitchers that Josh mentioned, Brandon says he's got Gausman and Peralta. If you're going to go with Acuna, I think he's 6,500 today or some ungodly number on DraftKings. Yeah. So that's just now you're narrowing things down. This kind of goes into I was shocked somewhat at how much overlap there is in those single entry contests. A lot of these same names are in those the single entry double ups, the 25 and the 20, 25 and 50 that I've been playing at. And it's interesting that I almost always run a unique lineup, though, even though I'm looking at it slightly differently, I still end up being 3v3 usually off most everybody else. And it's like, how is that happening? Yesterday, unfortunately, I chose two good pitchers and everybody else went with Miles Michaelis. But
that's good. But yeah, I had a lot of Michaelis yesterday. That one didn't work out for me at all. I was watching it too at the beginning, and I was just like, okay. And then it was like single. They were loaded. I hopped in the car. I had to go to the grocery store. I got a message from Adam, like, of course, the day that I play Michaelis, he sucks. And I was like, oh, he didn't get out of that bases loaded jam, did he?
Boy, tough one. All right, before we jump back in here, remind everybody to like and subscribe to this channel here. You know, we have 4 different YouTube channels out there. We've got the Odd Shopper YouTube channel that runs a show every Monday through Friday, the Odd Shop, where you get a bunch of our different contributors using all the stochastic tools, the Odd Shopper tools, the Bet Pro tools, explaining to you how to take advantage of different offers throughout the sports wagering world, and all of the price pick parlay sites, or player prop sites. That is a lot of fun. So check that out Monday through Friday on the Odd Shopper YouTube channel. Here we're marching towards 90,000 subscribers. So you want to jump on in here. You hit that notification bell. It just sends you a little alert every time we go live, and we go live a lot here. So you'll want to take advantage of that. Then the last thing we've got for now is the Osmo Avatar contest. So if you go to Osmo, I can't believe I did. So I'm just, it's so ingrained in me to just say,
hey, you don't got to tell me, man. I didn't call them the Guardians 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, because I'm doing 6 things at once. I'm sort of on autopilot. I've done like a couple thousand shows. You're just you're often saying things while you're doing other stuff. Oops, muscle memory.
That's why we changed the name. Alex Baker didn't want to go by Osmo any longer, so we're not using his dead name any longer.
Yes. So yeah, we had to do away with that. There was a whole kerfluffle there, a lot of protests, but we switched away. Now we're Stochastic, but the Avatar contest is still the same. Go to stochastic.com/avatar, download the avatar, upload that to your DFS site of choice, place top 3 in any contest with over 5,000 contestants. That is first, second, or third. Not a 90-way tie for first like it is in the NBA Finals, but first, second, or third. And you'll tweet that screenshot with the Stochastic avatar visible to Stochastic HOF, and you will get 30 days of Stochastic premium content. You'll also get a shout out there from Lofty in the Hall of Fame segment. So jump on in. It's a lot of fun there. And we celebrate all wins, big or small. If you don't have a massive win in one of those tournaments, but you got something you're proud of, share it. It's a lot of fun here. We like to celebrate everybody's wins. Okay, Josh, back to our content here at hand. The Mets at Pirates. Carlos Carrasco, a little bit of an injury, getting a little bit better. Strikeouts just non-existent. The advanced metrics, not that great. Pirates, friskier than I was expecting to see them this year. You've got Mitch Keller, kind of had, I believe it was his last start. He had a bit of a rough outing. Going against the Mets, always a tough row to hoe. However, no Pete Alonso, because he is one of the many big bats that hit the injured list this week. Yeah. I like Mitch Keller, but he's a secondary pitcher and we're not getting the price I want. I'm not a fan of Carlos Carrasco. I'd be okay with some Pirate stacks here. I like them as 3-mans and 4-mans in a secondary sense. What is your read on this game?
So Pirates are pulling a little bit more ownership than I was expecting here. I guess targeting Carrasco. I mean, they're pretty cheap outside of Brian Reynolds, and Brian Reynolds should be a bit more expensive. 4.5 run implied total, sort of letting you know what Carlos Carrasco is at this point. Do I want to go to Carrasco? No, not really. I have 4%. I think that's only happening because Wainwright is $200 more expensive and pulling a little bit of ownership. So it's just, I'm tweaking that slightly. I don't have any Keller. His price, 1, against the Mets, not the most fun spot to go, even without Alonso. But 2, at 10-4, just too close to McClanahan and Gossman for today to ever really get there with any sort of priority. So I have more Carrasco than Keller, but 4% is that number. So I would rather avoid the pitching. I'm avoiding basically the entire game. I don't have the Pirates side of this one either. But if I was going to a side of this game, it would be the Pirates side.
Any bats you want to call it in particular? Look, maybe a brand. Where's Nimmo in the lineup today? He is at the top, of course. Nimmo is intriguing. You've got Francisco Alvarez hit a home run yesterday. Somehow he has been elevated up into the lineup. Don't see catchers bat second very often, but there he is. But this lineup falls off towards the back end. Ooh, Omar Narvaez back off the injured list as well. I see he must be DHing today. There, but yeah, nothing really exciting. I guess I led you with the question. The answer is, not really.
The most I have of anybody in this game, I have 5% of Bay, and I assume that's just getting slotted into a $2,900 second base spot.
All right, then let's get on to our next one, because this one there's going to be things to talk about. We've got the Nationals at the Braves in Atlanta here. 3.9 implied run total for the Nationals, 6.4 for the Braves. You've got Trevor Williams going for Washington. He doesn't really strike anybody out.
Nope.
I like to look at pitchers like this because it's like, it feels like he's a bit of a tomato can here, but let's see how often he gives up a lot of runs. So I like to set the cutoff at 3 or 4 and just see what it is. So he has given up 4 or more earned runs in 15 of his last 65 appearances. The thing that makes that normally you're like, oh, wow, that's like 15%. That's not what I was expecting. The thing with him is he's giving it up in 2, 3, or 4 innings. This isn't like a Zach Greinke or Wainwright absorbing 4 runs over 7 innings. This is no. He doesn't make it into the 5th very often. And that includes a fair run of just regular relief appearances. So I see why everybody's going towards Atlanta. How do you feel about the Nationals against Elder? I did like them against Schuster last night. They're righties anyway. That worked out a little bit as a secondary stack. I don't feel as excited about Elder. Doesn't give up the power I would like to see. He doesn't get a ton of strikeouts. I'm more neutral on this one for the Nationals, but God, the Braves look good today.
Yeah, I don't really have much of the Nats, just scattered one-offs throughout lineups. I certainly don't have any Trevor Williams, who is very not good. 17% projected K rate via Steamer, 484 FIP. This season, 220 X ISO to lefties, 14% K rate. Shout out to Matt Olson for today, who might put one into orbit. Hasn't been much better for righties, 260 X ISO. Even if you want to include last year, 173 X ISO to righties, 217 X ISO to lefties. He can't strike, like he doesn't have a prayer against left-handed hitters. Righties, he strikes out, but he still gives up the power. So guys like Eddie Rosario, Matt Olson, Albies on a day like today, even Michael Harris, there's a lot of potential for power on the Atlanta side. I'm getting to all of the Atlanta. This is my number 1 stack. I have 55 5-mans of Atlanta entered in for today. I know they're the chalk team. I know they're the most owned team. They're number 1 in our top stack tool. They're number 1 in my top stack tool. I'm even higher on them than we are. There's not a single Brave that I don't want. I have at least 19% of every single one of them. All things Braves today. All things Braves.
What an embarrassment of riches to have Michael Harris batting 9th.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where sometimes, I don't really care what I get throughout the lineup. I want 7, 8, 9 hitters in my stacks. I want the pieces across the board. Normally that's like, I end up with 15 to 20% of some random 9-hole asshole that's not good. This is different.
Here's a good one from Baldy and the Oath. It says, would you rather play Michael Harris batting 9th and get to a top pitcher, or Acuna in a mid-range pitcher?
Harris in a top pitcher
upgrade. Yeah.
Based on the fact that I have 80% of Peralta and 57% of Kevin Gossman right now, I'm getting to more of the top end. Not getting the Shane McClanahan, which I don't like.
Well, we'll talk about that lineup shortly. Anything else you want to mention from this one, other than Atlanta is almost 3-1 favorites, and I see the run line tick down to 6.1. I pulled my run lines at about 9 o'clock this morning, so some of those were early placeholder type lines. It'll be plus or minus 2. Don't worry as much.
It's still 6.
Yeah, it's massive.
I thought they were in Coors for a second. I was like, oh wow, this game is in Atlanta. What would this line be 20 in Coors today? Like, it was just massive. I don't have much to say. Like, anything you want to get at the top of the order for Atlanta is great. You're probably getting a bunch of cash options from Atlanta as well.
Okay. Oops, I have an error in my sheet here, producer Mike, because that is the wrong matchup. So let's see. Oh, you can skip that why did I do Tigers and White Sox? Okay, that the game 3 that was just a remnant, producer Mike. So the one that's coming up after next, just skip that one. But we go to the Dodgers and the Phillies right now. Caleb Ferguson is going to be pitching. This is going to be a bullpen game. Same thing on Friday, except it was Ferguson who closed out the game instead of starting it. I had Michael Grove go for, I think, 3 or 4 innings in that one. I expect some middle reliever will probably go around 3 innings. They only used 2 pitchers yesterday, so the bullpen's going to be relatively fresh because they didn't have to do any work on Friday, probably on Saturday. All Phillies all the time here, and then let's talk about the one pitcher in this game, Taijuan Walker. Why does he have so much name recognition despite having 1 season of more than 160 innings pitched?
I don't know. I don't have a single share here at 5,700. Our top pitchers tool is very high on him for today. I don't see that at all going up against the Dodgers with this run total. 6% top pitcher, 20% top value. I'm not here for it. I had those numbers at 1 and 7. So no, don't give me Taijuan Walker against the Dodgers, who doesn't really strike anybody out and is at best a league average starter. I don't see it for the pitching. I'm not getting to the Phillies, although I am quite a bit higher on the Phillies than we are. The team that I'm getting to is the Dodgers. They are 9th in ownership, but they are 3rd in our top stack score. I'm a little bit higher in top stack variety. And while we just mentioned that 777 on DK, I did fire a bullet into that while we were talking. It is a 5-man Dodger stack. I have 19 5-man Dodger stacks. I am 2x the field on their current ownership. So go Dodgers.
Just that feels a little off to me. I wrote up the Dodgers in the Spotlight Pitchers top stacks article. I think we really want to go there. I didn't write up Atlanta because, when you've got the completely obvious teams, it gets boring to write about some of these. But looking at Taijuan Walker, just nothing good. I mean, yeah, he had a great start in his last one against the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah.
All right, we can set that one aside. And other than that, he's not been good. Strikeout rates declined for like 5 years in a row. This is just not a good pitcher. So all the Dodgers all the time on that one. Do you have any home run calls from this game?
Ooh, it's weird. Walker's so balanced, 21% K rate against lefties over the past 2 years, 19.5 against righties, 150 to 160 X ISO against both hands. So it's not any individual. I'm going to go JD Martinez, which is terrible because he is the least exposed Dodger I have.
It's always, it's those little oddities there. I had called out David Peralta 2 days ago to be a long shot home run, and I said, he only has 2 between last season and this season, 200 at bats. He had 2 home runs or whatever. I think he got one yesterday. It was day early on that one. You got to pick your spots with him. He still has some power, but not home run power. But I was like, oh man, just a day off. He'd be the type of guy I like in this one. We've seen James Outman. I don't think they've demoted him yet, but he's kind of been riding the pine lately. So that's been getting Peralta and Jason Hayward into the lineup from in the back half there. On the Phillies side, they do have Alec Boehm back from the injured list. Looks like they're running their mostly standard lineup out there. Cody Clemens looked like he's moved up just a little bit. They've got Garrett Stubbs catching today. No JT Realmuto, so that's the one missing. But I was trying to do the math, we're missing one. They have 7 good hitters. I'm only seeing 6 here. So sorry, Clemens offspring. I can't count you as a good hitter just yet. So it's JT Realmuto that's out. But yeah, this game looks good. Going to be close to 90 in Philly today. Humidity, we aren't in the summer humidity yet, but there is an 8 to 12 mile an hour breeze out to right center field. So this is really a good spot here.
Yeah, the number 3 in our stack tool right now, only 14th in aggregate ownership. It's an interesting place to look. They're not cheap, but that's fine.
Yeah. Producer Mike. I know Clemens hit a home run the other night. That's why I'm just trolling you. That's all. All right. Enjoy Bryce Harper and his sullen attitude. No more an attitude for Bryce Harper.
I love Bryce Harper. I hate that he's on the Phillies.
You think he'll ever be on your Braves?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Marriages never end.
Yeah, no trade clauses aren't good. You can stop anything there. Not if somebody really wants to be moving. Just ask anyone there. All righty. Little bit of a detour there, but let's get back to our games. Minnesota. Yep, looks like I just skipped that one you've got highlighted, Mike. So let's do Minnesota and the Blue Jays. We've got Louis Varland going against the Blue Jays. Kevin Gausman going against the Twins. Twins have a whole bunch of key players on the injured list again with Buxton, Polanco, Gallo. They do have Correa, Kirilloff, Kepler, and Royce Lewis are all in the lineup. They've been dinged up for various points recently here. They just have a 3.2 implied run total. Gausman is putting up basically Cy Young type numbers. He's not, and there's a lot of really top end pitchers today, including Shane McClanahan, but Gausman is definitely amongst the elite. This is an all Gausman all the time kind of situation for me. And it does look like the roof will be open in the Sky Dome today.
Yeah, I've got 57% of him right now. That's slightly higher than what we're projecting. I mean, we're talking about a guy who over the past 2 years, roughly a 30% K rate. This season, 33% to lefties, 34.5% to righties, just mows down everybody. Clearly the top option today. Good strikeout matchup too against the Twins. A couple guys in that lineup that do tend to strike out from time to time. I don't have much else to say. The implied total for the Twins also pointing you in that direction. So I think he is fully warranted to the ownership that he is pulling.
How much would you go over half? Maybe 60%?
If I had 100%, I wouldn't bat an eye.
So he is second best strikeout rate in the league, 12.4 per 9. He's got 2.38 FIP. That's after it's fielding independent pitching, so it's neutralizing defenses. That is after leading the league last year in that category as well. He's just been phenomenal recently. So high marks for him. High marks
for sure.
How do you feel about his teammates going against Varland?
I like them a little bit. I'm a little higher on them than we were. We have them 11th in top stack. I actually have them 5th, and I don't want to say it the way that I'm saying it, but like I tend to agree with me, because I think that they have such an overabundance of power at the top of their lineup that even I respect Varland enough. He's got a little over a 4 projected FIP via steamer. Hasn't been great this year. 200x ISO across both hands. If you lump in last year, that doesn't really make things much better. So the power has been a problem for Varland, and there's a lot of power at the top of this order, but he's a solid enough guy. I have 11 Blue Jays 5-mans. I'm basically neutral to the field. So I either have the Blue Jays as a stack or I don't really have them at all. And that's kind of the way that I see this one. They look good, not great. The implied total is good, not great. I think that works for me.
All right, let's continue on because we do have quite a few games, and we'll always find some way to distract ourselves. Let's quickly hit on the sponsor here, the Sorare sponsor. So if you guys watch, I was watching MLB TV, the online version last night, and they were doing tons of Sorare ads on the different games. So it's kind of the approach for how they're doing it for everybody else is, hey, collect your free cards, build teams that you like, trade your cards, etc. How we're saying it is, there is DFS components behind this. So what it is digital trading cards. It's based on the Ethereum blockchain. So it's the NFTs, right? The non-fungible tokens, but they're not like it's not like Top Shots. These aren't a speculative thing because these cards have utility. You play them in the games here. When you play the cards, you actually get more experience points, which allows their scoring to go up. The scoring is based on typical fantasy stats and in actual production on the field. They usually run multi-day contests, so you want to look at all the little nuances that they have. But we do have one of the better offers out there. If you click through the link in our description here, once you have purchased 5 cards on their open market, you will have an opportunity to select a rare card. And that is those cards. There's only 1 out of 1,000. So you guys, if you're going to go this route, do go through our link here. We do have other content on the site. Neil talks about this a fair amount on the strategy shows, etc., and goes in depth. But I do want you guys to think about trying it out at Sorare. It's a lot of fun. They've got baseball now, but the basketball product was pretty good. They were running more multi-day contests, usually Thursday through Sunday, and then Monday into Wednesday. And it's kind of a new look at things. So it's like Rainmakers, except I trust it a little bit more because your value just doesn't completely disappear after one MMA match and when your fighter gets scratched.
And we've got 3 years of Sorare doing the soccer side of it, so you feel a little bit better by the product in general.
Yeah, and with the marketing push they're putting behind this, they're in this for the long haul. So they're taking more of the gaming aspect of it. They're trying to capture people that understand the trading card points, but it's kind of a fun, it's like like Pokemon or Magic the Gathering, or kind of they're kind of taking that bent with things where you build your own deck, if you will, and then put it into contest. So it's an interesting twist on thing, but that is Sorare sponsoring the show today. All righty, let's continue on here, Josh. We've got the Rangers and the Tampa Bay Rays. Martin Perez, good pitcher, not a lot of strikeouts, decent ground balls. He's the kind of guy that'll take four earned runs and absorb it for 6 innings. Makes it tough to go to Tampa Bay, and I really do like the Rays offense this year, and just not today. Shane McClanahan on the other side going against the Rangers offense, which has just been amazing this season. They're firing on all cylinders. It has been a sight to behold. McClanahan, basically the last time I checked, was a tick ahead of the American League Cy Young race. This is going to be a tough matchup for him. As Josh mentioned, he's up there with Gausman's salary here on DraftKings. They're separated by just $200. We currently have Gausman at 50% of the field. We have McClanahan on 23% of the teams. I feel that's appropriate. I want to go over the Gausman number. I think I will match the field on the McClanahan number. I'm too nervous about this Rangers lineup, and I've taken it into the teeth a few times, thinking I could pitchers would do well against them, and here we are with arguably one of the top 3 pitchers in the league, and I'm like, maybe not.
Yeah, I'm I only have 7% McClanahan right now. The Rangers side of this one makes me a little nervous. They're certainly a better lineup than the Twins lineup. The Twins lineup certainly a lot more strikeouts. So to me, that makes Kevin Gausman look a little bit better here. Top of the lineup for Texas, Semien and Seager don't strike out a ton. Not the best setup there. Unfortunately for me, in my prize picks video, I do have unders on Semien and Seager, which means that it's probably going well for Shane McClanahan if those guys hit those unders, but I hope they do. That said, like, if you want to go to McClanahan, we're talking about a guy that strikes out 24% of lefties and 30% of righties. Like, this is a high level option for you. It looks good. He was 25% for me to be a top 2 pitcher. Our top pitchers tool is matching that number. The park is fantastic to limit runs. It's a fantastic park to limit power. I would never tell anybody not to get to Shane McClanahan, but it does make me a little nervous on the opposite side. Texas is good. There's a lot of power in that lineup.
Yeah, and all it takes is a pitcher just to have just one of their 90 pitches or 2 of their 90 pitches be left hanging, a breaking ball that doesn't break, a whatever pitch that the hitter was waiting on in their part of the zone, and it's going out of the park. And that's the frustrating part here. Will there be above average strikeouts? Probably, but McClanahan is priced to be super duper above average in strikeouts, right? So there's really no margin for error with him here. That makes it just makes it a bit of a challenge to go to him. There will be plenty of other times that we'll be looking to him, even against the likes of Boston, the Yankees, Toronto from time to time. I just don't want to take on this Texas lineup.
Neither do I. And I really just I want to take the shot on Freddie Peralta. Like, he's so much cheaper than Shane McClanahan today, in obviously a significantly better spot. That's what happens when you take on Oakland. But 8,800 compared to 11,200 facing Texas, like that's my real issue. If Peralta weren't on this slate, I'd have a much easier time getting to McClanahan more. But because Peralta's there, you just kind of have to pick one of the pay-ups and then get Peralta. Like, I'm surprised Peralta's not getting more ownership.
I think we're going to get a shift before we get to lock that's going to push him closer to 40%. I just don't see how it wouldn't, with where it looks like other shall we call them tout sites? We might as well, where our competitors are listing some of these other like Atlanta and things like that. Now's the time where the algorithms can kind of go and figure out, okay, who's doing what, who's everybody's favorite plays. All right, now we got to goose these. And we already know most of the people that are playing MLB DFS are looking at the projections. So we've seen, and they know, and people now, after multiple years of looking at our top stack tools or whatever the other derivatives are on the other side, everybody starts to realize this really is a math problem. And how am I going to embrace the volatility and the chaos that is baseball, an event-based sport, and harness that and use it in our favor? Everybody's getting good at that. And with optimizers, they can pivot more quickly. So you get a bunch of sharp people out there like Josh and all his acolytes from the morning grind that are Rise and Grind that are just, they're being very smart. So just know that the ownership, well, we're doing the best we can to get it. A lot of people are using this, and so you sometimes get outliers that all of a sudden are like, how did we miss it by that much? And it's like, there was enough people that moved the needle. So just keep in mind that's going on now behind the scenes as well, as the algorithm tries to sort through that. All right. Anything else do you want to take any of the Tampa Bay hitters?
I'm a little surprised that I'm not more interested. I know that that's probably like a weird thing to say. I think they look good, not great. Like, I had them third in top stack. We have them fifth, similar value spot. They're pulling about 4% ownership. It's what I have. I have 4 or 5 mans. That's about it. I give a little bit of respect to Perez. Maybe more than I should, but like, he just doesn't give up any real power. And that really limits my interest in Tampa when this game is in Tampa. I mean, I look at Perez now over the past 2 seasons. 128 x ISO to righties, 102 to lefties. Like, he's just not giving up anything. Now we're in a park that limits runs and limits power. I'm okay with it because I think Tampa is obviously very talented. This doesn't seem like a frequent outcome for them.
No, I think that's the appropriate way to go with this. All righty. I do see we got a little super chat there from Gabriella, her first super chat. If you have any questions, I'll try to catch that. So go ahead and type that in there. But thank you. We see we get a little number 1 with a bunch of balloons celebrating.
There was a question before the super chat, 2 lines before it.
Oh, there we go. Hey guys, the lineup generator has not been allowing us to lock players since yesterday. Please help. We'll put a note there into the support channel. But reminder, you guys can always reach out to support@stokastic.com, and that will get the alarm bells ringing more quickly. But I will drop a note there into the chat for the devs. But thank you for letting us know that. We appreciate that. All righty, Josh, let's continue along here. We are 3 games to go here. So let's look at Miami going into Chicago, taking on the Cubs. We've got low temperatures today in the mid 60s. You've got a breeze in the Windy City blowing out to right. It looks like it's going to be about 12 to 15 miles an hour. Braxton Garrett, Lucas Giolito, 2 solid pitchers that have had excellent outings this season, and they've also been hammered this season, both on and I'm sure off the field. The pricing on DraftKings, I'm just moving. I'm finding the money to go up there. It looks like I'm going to have about 70% Gaussman, by the way, as I'm running crunches here. So I'm heading that direction. I'm planting the flag today. These guys are in play on that 3-game mid-afternoon slate. Both of these guys are perfectly fine SP2s to go with Peralta, but I'm just not getting to them on the main slate. Do you like any home run hunting here? There's some power bats that are floating around there on both sides.
Yeah, I don't have a ton here. Little bits of Giolito, nothing really of Braxton Garrett. Very minimal amount of the White Sox. Very minimal amount of the Marlins. I've got 5% of Jesus Sanchez, $3,300 outfielder, trying to buy a home run. Basically, the only reason that's showing up. Most I have of anybody on the White Sox side, 3% of Moncada. This is just a game that I'm not getting to, and I'm not surprised by it. The implied total for both teams isn't great. Lucas Giolito and Braxton Garrett are both above average pitchers. We've got multiple games out there with 5-run-ish or more implied totals. This game just doesn't really exist. I want this one to stay quiet across the board. This is the perfect game that's like 5-3, and like 6 of those runs happen in the first 6 innings. So all the pitchers suck and the hitters are mostly irrelevant. The only thing that's going to suck in this game is if somebody goes for a double dong. Otherwise, like, I'm not worried about being here. I don't have a single 5-man of either team.
All righty. That's the way to go. That's the way to go. Sometimes that is going to happen. Yeah. Sometimes we just got to accept it. I do see there's a good question. Do we think the St. Louis game is going to go? I believe it will. I have no reason not to. I did look at the weather in motion as well as the weather.com forecast, as well as the forecast on my phone for that area. It looks like things clear up around 3:30 or 4 local time.
Yeah.
If they're willing to wait 2 hours, they should not have any issues after this. I did look to see the Reds are playing in, I think it's Kansas City tomorrow. I think St. Louis is off, so it's not like they could push it. It's also not like the Reds are traveling someplace far away and they're going to need to hop on a plane. They probably won't even take a plane from St. Louis to Kansas City. They'll probably just drive. What is it, I-70, whatever it is, the freeway.
They could be like my wife today, who flew into Philadelphia and then was going to Allentown, thinking she had another flight, when in all actuality it was a bus from Philadelphia airport to Allentown airport. Not that she cared. That's fine. It's right. Easy one way or the other. But for the first 15 minutes, she was very confused that she was on the wrong thing.
That's very interesting.
So, yeah, they could take that same sort of bus.
It's like when I go to visit family in Washington State. They live in the literal middle of the state. There's one flight a day in and out of the Wenatchee airport, which is by where they live. So you end up taking a shuttle bus, because it's like your wheels up to wheels down is like 22 minutes from Seattle. It's like almost not worth, like there's no drink service or anything like that. But sometimes you got to take the bus, and it's not too bad. It's 2.5, 3 hours. But yeah, that's that. When you get inclement weather, all of a sudden you have a $150 bus ticket instead of a $20 bus ticket when there's fog and snow. So anyway.
Yeah, she was messaging me panicking, and I knew that the bus as a plane between the two existed because I'd been flying into Allentown. So I got emails when they first started doing that like 2 years ago, and I was like, you need to find, like, I think you're okay, and like you're just going to end up in Allentown. And she's like, I've confirmed with other passengers, like that's what's happening.
All righty.
She's like, I have no idea where my bags are. I don't know what I'm doing, but all I see is us driving past a bunch of other planes, and now I don't see the airport.
I'd be more panicked about the luggage than anything else.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Well, at first she thought she got on a bus to Atlantic City. I was like, well, that'll be fun. Like not that that's a great place to be, but there are worse destinations that you randomly get on a bus for. At least you could have fun for the day. Get yourself a hotel room and chill.
All right. Update on the lineup generator. It does appear to be working and looking good. Thank you for the heads up. The devs were poking at it. It seems to be okay. It could have just been a glitch from yesterday. If you're still using it and running into problems today, try clearing your cache, your browser. That could be it. Beyond that, it looks good on the back end as well as when they're trying it. So if it's still not working, please do let us know. We'll try to troubleshoot from here. It's kind of hard to do on the show to them, but if you send a screenshot or say what you're trying to do to support@stokastic.com, they're looking at any of the tickets that come in right now. So
by the way, Cardinals are at home tomorrow, so I think they'll wait this one out for as long as they like. There's no reason to not start it even at 7:00 if they can.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And especially with Cincinnati being in Kansas City, like they're not a lot of travel going on tomorrow.
It'd be like Baltimore and the Nationals playing a game in Oh, wait, no, that was one of the games that rain didn't actually happen, that the Nationals postponed. As a nephew to Baltimore, and it had to be made up on a mutual off day.
It's the worst.
So bad. So bad. All right. Freddie Peralta, we're here. Let's talk for a second about JP Sears. Interesting spot for him. He does look like an okay SP2. Strikeouts, not so much with him, but he is going against one of the worst teams against lefties this year. I see that Joey Weimer has been promoted out of the 9-hole where he was just absolutely, raking, because, he's relaxed, free and easy down there at the bottom of the lineup, Josh. So now does he perform under pressure, or is this too much? I don't know. All I know is he's going to get at least one more at bat than he normally would have in this spot. So we got to like him. His price is just broken at 2.7 on DraftKings. He's even stealing bases, if I remember correctly. So he's kind of producing in a variety of ways. I like him. William Contreras had a pinch hit home run last night. He's a decent option. Willie Adames is just a great all-around player. But then things start to go sideways from that point. So we're really looking at some concentrated Brewers. There's a chance, if I remember correctly, Oakland has won both of the 2 games this weekend. They could have a road sweep. Is that even allowed in the simulation these days, Josh? I thought we had parameters on the simulation. We're in pure chaos mode at this point. But any thoughts on JP Sears? And then take us through Freddie Peralta.
I can't get to Sears here. He's obviously going to run through any lefties he faces. Lefties just don't hit him. Righties, in fact, do. Only lefty that's going to be in the lineup against Sears today is going to be Christian Yelich. See your righties after that. So I actually have 13 Brewers 5-man stacks. I'm a little bit over the field on those guys for today. They've got 4 dudes with an MPE in their lineup. Very easy to mix and match here. Park obviously plays up power a little bit. Could be a long day for Yelich with that lefty, but I'll take my chances. So I don't have any Sears right now at 7,600. I am getting to the Brewers side. And I mentioned it before. The thing that I'm getting to the most of anything today is even more so than Braves bats is Freddie Peralta. 8,800 against Oakland. Oakland, one of the worst offenses on the slate, one of the best strikeout matchups on this slate. He is 40% owned. I have 80 right now. I would not be upset in any way if that number was somehow 100%. I am very, very, very high on Freddie Peralta. There's not really a way for Freddie Peralta to have a better setup for a start than what he has today.
Yeah, there's nothing much to add on that other than just play him. Just play him. How do you feel about any other hitters in this game? And I think I skipped the Kansas City game. That must be the one I didn't double back on, Mike. So we'll go to that one next.
We'll hit it. I don't have anything on the Oakland side, really, just scattered individual bats. Everything for me is on the Milwaukee end. Guy I have the most is Willie Adames. William Contreras would be second, but Freddie Peralta is the main piece. He is one of the starters that I'm using in that 777 lineup that I put together as well.
All right. I've got all my parameters in where I would like them to be. I'm going to hit crunch and let this go. We're going to talk about the last game on the slate, and then we're going to talk about the one I skipped over because somehow I left in that Detroit and Chicago White Sox game from last Sunday. Not sure why I did that. That's what happens when you're doing these run sheets at the crack of dawn. So, and Duncan Jurowitz, I do see your super chat. We will get to that. That's a very good question as well. So taking us to the last game here, we've got Wainwright on the mound. Wainwright will be 42 in August. That is just crazy. Still has a really good curveball. I mean, his nickname is Uncle Charlie, but he made his debut when Ellie De La Cruz was just out of diapers. Think about that. Waino's been around for a long time here. So his fastball is down 2 miles an hour from last year. Career low, 4.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's still using that curveball 30-40% of the time, but you can only do so much with that. He is an 87 mile an hour fastball. I mentioned that it was dropped 2 miles per hour. That's the Zach Greinke zone. Fortunately, Wainwright at least has the curve to offset it, as opposed to a changeup that is 1 mile an hour less. His changeup is like 6 miles an hour less, so there's at least some differentiation. Load up on Cincy. Play Waino about 10% as your SP2 just for that salary relief to get in an Atlanta stack and some other top tier pitcher. But I don't see a lot of love for me anyway for Wainwright here. I like Hunter Green on the other side. It's all about strikeouts with him. He can get to 10. He can also get to 10 in a game where he gives up 5 runs and 3 home runs. But it's all about the strikeouts for him. So I'll play Hunter Green against anybody. Do you want to call out anything in particular here? Do you have a strategy for this game?
Yeah, but I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Everything I have in this game is a real uncomfortable scenario. So I have 27% Adam Wainwright at 5,300. I have 7% Hunter Green. Obviously, Hunter Green is the type of guy that you want in a fantasy scenario because he's got massive, massive strikeout potential. This dude has the stuff. But this is not a great strikeout matchup against the Cardinals. But guys like Brendan Donovan, Nolan Arenado don't strike out all that frequently. Mid-teens K rates as a projection. So I am light on Hunter Green. I just see Freddie Peralta as a much better mid-tier option than I see Green. So I am getting to Peralta. I am not getting to Green. And on the opposite side, Wainwright is just salary savings. It is a fantastic strikeout matchup against Cincinnati. Not that Wainwright is just drowning himself in strikeouts, but not to me, not a very good Cincinnati lineup. I've got them at a 312 aggregate projected WOBA. That is the third worst of any team on the slate, slightly behind the White Sox and behind the Oakland A's. So I kind of like the spot. It helps me to see this start be in St. Louis. Park factor and power factors for St. Louis, all pitcher friendly. So unfortunately, I am punting with Adam Wainwright today. I am not proud of the words coming out of my mouth, but it is happening.
It's one of, no matter how bad pitchers are, they're going to have about a third of their starts where they're pretty good. No matter how good they are, they're going to have about a third of their starts that are pretty bad. It's what the other 2/3 of their starts, how those end up, determine if you got a good pitcher or a tomato can. So, because I see Sean V is in chat they're saying, imagine rostering as chalky Freddie Peralta. What could go wrong? So let's talk about that in just a sec. But we got a super chat we're going to hit on first here. Yeah. So let's see, let me get back up to it. So Duncan asks, does it make any sense to roster Trevor Williams with Atlanta's popularity today? No. And here's why. So you have the leverage concept. Now we're looking at direct leverage, but what can Trevor Williams do? Best case scenario for Trevor Williams today is probably 5 innings, 3 earned runs, 3 strikeouts. That's not going to do anything for you on any site. That just it's nothing. So you have to look at some of these spots and say, where do I want to go with these? And that's walking into a buzzsaw that's just not helpful. There's 20, well, I guess the openers in 2 of the games. There's 18 other starters or 17 other starters that you can look to that have a better shot at doing better than him.
Yeah, like Atlanta can be the 5th highest scoring stack today, and that is not going to win you a contest. That doesn't mean that because Atlanta wasn't good that Trevor Williams was good. Atlanta doesn't Trevor Williams doesn't have to be good for Atlanta to not be the best stack you can get to. That's it. The opposite direction. Like a chalky pitcher, you can go to the stack because any stack is capable of just going crazy.
So let's pivot on that into Sean's question. What do you do with the Freddie Peralta? Because I think that's really what Duncan's asking is I'm looking for leverage. How do I do something? Now, here's something you can do is going against the chalky pitcher. So kind of elaborate just a little on that.
Yeah. So if you want to try to be on if Peralta has a really bad game, that kind of has to mean that Oakland has at least started off well. Like if you chase Freddie Peralta, that's a good sign. And they're a great value. They are the #1 value stack on today's slate. I had them 3rd, but we're talking about basically the exact same scenario. So there is value getting to Oakland, particularly in Milwaukee, and you get the benefit of being on the opposite side of that Freddie Peralta ownership. Is that something that I'm doing? No. I don't really pay attention to pitcher ownership. I don't look for that kind of leverage at this point, but that is a viable path to take, especially with an A's team that really isn't pulling any ownership at all today.
Yeah. So here's how I'm going to handle that. I will build a couple 3 or 4 man A's stacks. I will set the other, and that will be kind of my secondary stack. I'll let any other 3 or 4 man stack come in, and I'll lock in my, well, why don't I just do it now, since I'm going to do it anyway. So, and then we'll talk about the game I missed there, Mike. So what I'm going to do is, so you look at somebody, Estuary Ruiz, play him in your cash games. By the way, the guy's got 32 stolen bases. He has, T McBee was messaging me. He goes, I think he's going to get 100. That was like a week ago. And this kid's just stealing bases. So I think the people that you would go with against Peralta, who's looked shaky a few times, I would say Seth Brown, I would say Ramon Laureano, and I think Noda would be the ones that I would look to. Brent Rooker is flash in the pan. He fell out of not the rotation, but he kind of fell out of the lineup for a few days to get his head straight, because he was just not performing well, because he was crushing in playing, getting lucky over his head, or in over his head, or above his head. Sorry, he's doing something with his head, whatever. So Noda, Laureano, Seth Brown, and then I will set it to say any other 4-man stacks with all the other rules I have. I'm going to make 200 lineups today, so I'll just do 10 of them that are going to be this, and that will give me the opportunity to have that stack. I won't get Peralta, and if those guys are kind of okay, Peralta melts down in concert with another stack, which looks like it's going to be for me Atlanta, Kansas City, we're going to talk about in a second, and Cincinnati and New York are the stacks that are coming in around it. So that I'm okay with that. That's how you would kind of apply the leverage. That this is more of a blunt way of doing it, but that would be kind of doubling down for what you're looking at there, guys. Alrighty, the game I missed, the Royals at Baltimore. I think I skipped it because I was trying to figure out who the long reliever was. It's going to be Massey. So you've got Carlos Hernandez is going to be the opener. He's done this a few times. He'll probably go 25 pitches. Then you're going to have Massey be I think it's Mike Massey. Mike Myers. Mike Myers. I was like, wait a second. No, it's the guy from Halloween. It's the guy from Halloween, not in fantasy. This is when you never get old, Josh. This is what happens. You start to remember things in your adult brain incorrectly. On the other side, you do have Kyle Gibson. He is 7,700. I am only getting about 12% on DraftKings. I thought I would get more in this one. It's going to be in the upper 80s, maybe get as high as 90 during this game. There's a 10 to 12 mile an hour breeze out to left center field. This is like a good home run environment. Even though Ryan Mountcastle's out, you've got Ryan O'Hearn. I believe this is a remember me game for him. You've got Ryan O'Hearn in the middle of the lineup there for Baltimore. God only knows what they're doing with Aaron Hicks, but he's batting 5th. But top of their order still looks pretty good with Henderson, Santander, and Austin Hayes. So I think you can go with their first 4 hitters there. I think that's a solid approach. On the other side, Bobby Witt is just racking up the stolen bases. Oh, I know why I said didn't say Mike Myers, because they have Mike Massey on their team. That's how I shelved that one in the old memory palace incorrectly. But we got MJ Melendez, Sal Perez. This looks like a nice offensive spot. Are you getting to much of this yet? Because somehow I skipped this game. We didn't talk about it, and it didn't occur to me until we were all the way to the Midwest games, where I was thinking, don't we got to talk about Kansas City here?
Might be the only game that I'm getting both sides of. I've got 28 Orioles stacks. I'm 2x the field in the aggregate. Ryan O'Hearn in particular, somebody that I'm getting to a lot in this spot. I do have 9 Royals stacks as well. I probably get to the Royals too much. Certainly got to them too much either yesterday or 2 days ago. I felt like Adam in that case. I'm mostly neutral to them in aggregate ownership, but I do have some Royals 5-mans against Gibson. But the real side for me is the Orioles side. This is the team that I am second most exposed to behind the Atlanta Braves. I don't see a bad spot here at all. Mike Myers is terrible. Projects with a 5 FIP via steamer. That is not good. I'm hoping Oakland. I'm hoping the O's can really take advantage there. I've got 20% of O'Hearn, 20% of Santander. I'm up in the high teens on Henderson, on Hicks, oddly enough. I don't love getting to the bottom of the order here, but like Lester's got a lot of power. He's only 3% owned as a $2,200 third baseman. That stands out to me if you want to try to buy a cheap home run. I am getting to James McCann as a catcher, mostly because he just is a catcher and it makes that stack work a little bit more. So yeah, Baltimore Orioles, my number 2 stack.
All right. Let's see. We got 10 minutes. We'll talk about the lineup generator, but do a quick overview. Who's your top 3 stacks?
Top 3 stacks are the Braves, the Orioles, and the Dodgers.
Okay. Braves, Orioles, and Dodgers. I've got Braves, I've got the Dodgers, and I've got Cincinnati coming in as mine. And I'm liking some of having them along with Hunter Green. That's kind of I'm going with looks like some 3-mans and 4-mans, but half of those ended up with Hunter Green. So I'm comfortable with that. Let me download these and I will upload them to the site. Let's talk about, while I'm doing that, let's do another muscle memory one, Mike. Let's go to the BetMGM. So I want to remind everybody, if you have not yet signed up for BetMGM, here is a way you can get 30 days of Stochastic Premium. Go in through the link below us in the YouTube description here to create your BetMGM account or sign up using the promo code PlatinumSub. By doing that, once you have made your first $10 wager, as that settles, they will give you a promo code that gets you 30 days of Stochastic Premium. When you go to the site, you can choose the 1-month package, enter that code. There will be no charge. It works out pretty slick. It's a lot of fun to use that. I gifted my code to someone else because I don't need a code to get into Stochastic, but it worked out very well. You also have an in-site mailbox where if you don't catch the pop-up of the code, they send you a little note that gives you the code. So you can get back to that. The other thing I want to remind everybody of is your first wager there gets bet insurance up to $1,000 back. So if you do your $10 wager and you lose, you will get $10 in a second wager to try again. And that goes all the way up to $1,000. It is also important to remember that in most states, the legal age for wagering is 21 or older. If you or someone you know has a gambling issue, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, the lineup generator. This is one of our tried and true tools here. So let's pop that one up on the screen there, producer Mike. So the fun thing that we have here, let's do FanDuel, since we haven't really talked about FanDuel yet today. But you can build out DraftKings or FanDuel. Works for the main slates for each of these. You can choose your stack. So for FanDuel, we can go 4-4, 4-3, or 4-2-2. And then for DraftKings, you can go 5-0, 5-3, or 4-4. So let's do 4-3 today, because I just like to see who else pops in as one-offs. And then let's do chalky lineups, because I want to show you that everybody, that even though we're saying chalky lineups, on a day like today where there's so many teams in action, chalk is different. There are many ways you can find differentiation within your stacks, and the lineup generator is going to help take care of that, because it's looking at positive ROI and making lineups. So in order to get that positive ROI, it's also looking at the leverages, the in-game synergy, do we have the correlation that we need, etc. So it's doing all that stuff behind it. So let's just go ahead and build chalky lineups. You have the option of locking in a pitcher and one hitter, but let's just let it fly and see what pops up here, Mike. That is usually the way I like to do it. And because I've learned if you lock in a pitcher, then all of a sudden you've made 20 lineups, Josh, it's all the same pitcher. And then when you go look at your portfolio, it's not fun. You're like, wait a second, I need to change this. And that's not fun. It's not fun. Let me upload my lineups here just so I can get them in, and then we'll make my cash game later. There we go. Alrighty. So the fun thing about this is you can accept your lineups. You can save them into a holding pen. You can build out 20 at once. You can build them one at a time. Click save or discard. Discard, it just goes away. Another one's going to pop up. Once you hit save, it goes into that holding pen. Once that holding pen gets to 20, you can't make any more lineups, but you can download them and then make another 20. So if you want to build out 20, 40, 100, however many lineups you want, you just have to do it in phases like that. So as you can see with what Mike has on the screen here, you can see the different portfolio ownerships. You can go look at the different teams. You can start to see, hey, wow, I'm getting even though some of these things seem chalky or have a higher ownership product, when you look at it, you've got a couple players that are 6% or less. That's creating your differentiation for you. So that's how it's easier to be different within DFS. MLB, way different than NBA, and way different than NBA finals showdown style.
Very.
So just for those of you that haven't done it that much, chalk means something entirely different here. And here, usually if somebody's getting it outside of pitching, like we've seen in a couple good spots here today, when you get a hitter that all of a sudden is 50% owned for whatever reason, usually a good idea to not play them. Mm-hmm. It can be rough. Yes, there will be the days where Trout or whoever it is hits the home run and you're like, I can't believe I did that. But more often than not, this is a game based on failure. They're going to just not do it. There's some jerk out there on the internet that is just putting out prize pick parlays, and he's picking all the unders, Josh.
Who that guy must be terrible. It's not me. I took 2 overs today.
2 out of 6. That was a big day for you, Josh. That was a big day. But check out Josh. Follow the Odd Shopper YouTube channel. But anyway, lineup generator is can be received as a separate package or as part of the Stochastic Premium package. It is a lot of fun to play around with. You can get in for your first week 50% off by using promo code. Oh, I'm going to say it's baseball for all. Let's double check and just make sure that's still the promo code. But yeah, baseball, the number 4 all will get you 50% off your first week. So it'll be just under $5 your first week. That's 60 cents a day, 70 cents a day, well worth it. Even if you're only playing $10 a day or less, because what it's doing is it's getting rid of those craptastic bottom just lineups that aren't going to do very well for you. That's paying for itself. You have to think of it that way, plus the time savings. So the lineup generator.
Fantastic tool.
All righty. Let's see if we got any other questions here. No, I think we're doing okay. We're about 4 minutes away from lock. We'll just stick on here for a minute, since there's a break till our next games. So I'm not scrambling on lineups, since I got in what I wanted there. Let me look at people always like to know where we ended up. Gausman 70%, Freddie Peralta 47, Hunter Green 40, 15% McClanahan, 8% Wainwright, a few other people at 2 or 3%. So that's where I landed. Where are you on this?
Hit me with that again. I was reading chat.
Oh, just where are you with your pitcher portfolio percentage?
So I have it's mostly 3 guys and then just scattered stuff. 80% to Peralta, 57 to Kevin Gausman, 27 to Adam Wainwright, and then single digits on the McClanahan, Green, Bieber, Gibson, Carrasco, Giolito, just little bits of everybody else.
All right, let's see. St. Louis sneaky if Hunter gives up home runs. Oh, Hunter will give up 1, if not 2 home runs. I'm playing him because I want the double-digit strikeouts, and I'm hoping those are solo shots that he gives up today. And I don't think he'll get the win. So yeah, my number 3 most popular pitcher of the day. That was one hell of a vote of confidence I just gave him there, Josh. Let's see here. Padres are sneaky since nobody knows that game is on the main slate for FanDuel. I did not know that. Let's quickly look at what we have for the pod squad here. I believe there's weather in the area. But let me switch over to FanDuel. And
I mean, I don't know how sneaky it's going to be because it's in cores.
So 6.8 implied run total there for the pod squad, 5 for Colorado. You've got Blake Snell going against the Rockies. Dinelson Lamet is going for Colorado. Let's see, we do have the confirmed lineup here for San Diego. Lamet had moments, got hurt. Now he's not a great pitcher. Soto's been scuffling, but I think obviously you go to him. Gary Sanchez, reinvigorated. Enjoy this till the cold streak where he goes 0 for 45. You got Xander Bogaerts, Jake Cronenworth. Those guys are all fine. I did write them up in the Spotlight Pitchers Top Stacks article with talking about the Odd Shopper new feature, the True Odds, and you can look and see. It's kind of just another way to measure the expected value, but you can see how sites or sports books are too high or too low when we're looking at the actual projected efforts that we think. So Odd Shopper is typically shopping the odds, looking at all the different sites and saying, based upon some key books, here's where we think the other sites are kind of off. Here's the best ways to approach this. This is similar, except it's more bottoms up when you start to look at your projections to try to figure out where the other things are off. So it's kind of, if I understand it correctly, it's kind of the function of the True Odds, but basically it's just measuring expected value in a different way. But you'll see home run hitters plus 450, and then we'll say the True Odds are plus 408. That's like a 10% booster, right? And usually the expected value you look at is going to be somewhere between 8 and 11%. That flips the other way. Like Michael Conforto, hey, he's going in the afternoon game. He was the one guy. What did he break up the no-hitter? He was the only guy that got on base last night for Kyle Hendricks or whatever it was. He's got another matchup against a righty. Hey, I get him at plus 600. No, we're saying his odds are way worse than that. Don't take him. right? So you can look at things that are wildly different. And this helps in the home run market, because if you're not shopping those odds or you're not looking around, you could easily get someone, you're like, oh, I like this. I have a strong feeling for this person, plus 350. Other sites have them at plus 400, plus 450. Why would you leave that on the table? So when we say join different books, shop the odds, etc., it's looking for deals like that. And long shot bets are the best way to do odd shopping across, because people are going to have them all over the place. So there we go.
By the way, the sneaky Padres are the most owned FanDuel stack, as everyone would expect them to be. So maybe not the sneakiest thing in the world. Also, our top stacks tool is wrong. We have the Rockies and Padres run totals flip-flopped. So the Padres are the number one stack that you can get to on the FanDuel slate, and everybody is aware of it.
All right, Ace of Spades. We'll stay on. Let me go over. I built out tiers lineups. I already had them uploaded. I just missed your question. I wouldn't want anybody from the first game here anyway. I don't even know how many of them were on. So you're okay. We'll get to super chat here, because you got 50 minutes till the next game. So in looking at this, the Dodgers were my number one stack. So that should surprise exactly nobody. But you're looking at Betts or Freeman at the top. They're both on fire right now. They both, if you go look at their last 25 games, they're just absurd. Freddie Freeman has a 1.2 OPS. Betts and Freeman has like 9 multi-hit games in those 25 games. Betts is not too far behind, and he's got something like 6 home runs in the last 10 days. They're just on fire. You take Will Smith in tier 2 and JD Martinez in 3 and Max Muncy in 6, and you just move on. The other ones that really stood out to me would be Toronto. So let's go see Toronto. You can get in tiers 4 and 5. So that gets a little tougher, but when you look at them, that slots in nicely with your Los Angeles stacks, because the Dodgers represent tiers 1, 2, 3, and 6. You put in Vladdy Daddy and Bo Bichette there, and you're looking pretty sharp. Since he did not have many players, St. Louis was another one that I did a mini stack of, but you could only play 2 of their folks. So you're going with Wilson Contreras, who I was not that excited about. I was hoping we could get Goldschmidt or Arenado split. They're both in tier 4. So that ultimately took me back to the Dodgers and Blue Jays as my key stacks. Let's see where Atlanta is. Atlanta has 1, 2, 5. So Atlanta does not fit well with Toronto, but they're okay with the Dodgers. You're kind of splitting hairs there. So I would still go Dodgers, Blue Jays. Hopefully that's helpful on that, because I know that you guys like the tiers. So it's a fun way over there. But you can stack, you look for the synergy. That's the key, except DraftKings doesn't make it easy for you. Right. So some days we're going to be stacking teams because they aren't in the best spot, but that's, you might be looking at an Oakland stack or something, because, they Shohei and Trout are almost always in the same tier. Or, they'll put 3 Dodgers in the same tier of the 6 they give you. They'll do the same thing with Coors Field, or they'll leave the hitters out or only put one of them in there. So you have to look at it each day. But stacking for hockey, the power play lines and the top lines, and stacking in MLB does pay off in DK tiers. So there we go. How's that for a super chat? Sorry I missed that. Ace of Spades. Give you a little bonus run there. I'm ready to get on out of here, Josh. Are you ready to
both
go?
More than a little bit.
This is it for the day. We're it. There's no other shows, no other real sports today, but everything starts again tomorrow, and we do have a game 4. 5. Game 5 of the NBA. This is it. This is Miami on. They're in trouble. Will they escape again? I don't know. Tune in tomorrow night and find out. But you guys can follow Josh over on Twitter at Josh Engleman. I am at EMac DFS. It is stochastic_COM. With that, gamers, good luck.